Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is part 16 of yet another inventory series, but wait. In the last episode we enhanced our display with an inventory weight and incumbency progress bar. It changes colour as we become more incumbent or over incumbent. Today what we're going to look at is how are we going to handle what happens when you're over incumbent. I understand this is a bit of a controversial thing to what people think they should and shouldn't do, and I've often heard people say, oh, I hate games that have got weight limits and over incumbency, and if I see a game like that I don't want to play it. But a lot of that, in my opinion, is down to the way that the developers handle the over incumbency. The most common way that I have seen in most games is they slow the player's walk speed down to a crawl, which means if you're in a bit of a sticky situation, you've been trying to sneak in and grab some loot, and there might be a predator animal or an enemy or something nearby, you end up getting killed and you could quite easily end up in a death loop. And that's why people hate it, or the fact that it takes so long just to get across. Okay, you're in your base, you're doing a lot of crafting, but you need lots of materials, and it takes you 10 minutes to walk from one side of the room to the other in your base. In my opinion, I think that's too much, but every developer has their own choices. It's their game, they can do whatever they want. But I'm going to show you some different ways that we can handle incumbency, ways that maybe I prefer, and I will also show you how to reduce your walk speed down to a crawl as well, if that's how you want to add it to your game. Without further ado, let's get to it. So first of all, we're going to go to our inventory component, and what we're going to do is we're going to add an event dispatcher, because what we want to do is we want to be able to tell our player, in this case, hey, I'm over incumbent. We don't want any direct links to our player from here, because as we've mentioned before, it limits the use of the inventory component, and also it makes your inventory component a lot bigger. Because if we say, oh, let's go to our third person character, it will actually give your size of the inventory component a lot bigger, because it's taking into account everything that is loaded in to memory from your player character. So that's its static mesh, all the code, anything else it might have on it, its skeletal mesh, its textures, so on and so forth. We could just go to straight actor, but we don't even need to do that. By using an event dispatcher, it's saying, hey, anybody that's connected to me, I am now over encumbered. Hey, and it will fire off the event. Anybody that's listening can then deal with that event. So we're going to make an event dispatcher, and we're going to call it handle over incumbent. But I'm going to say handle over incumbent. Probably not correct English, but hey, we're not here to worry about that. Okay, so in our event dispatcher, we have to look on the left hand side here. We're going to have an input. We're going to say over incumbent. Is it over incumbent or incumbent? Maybe it's incumbent. I always not encumbered. BE RED, over encumbered. Okay, and we're going to put in here over encumbered, and that's going to be of type Boolean. So we need to call this as and when we are over encumbered. So what we're going to do is we are going to look for our set inventory weight, find the references because that's where we're going to have to put it. Set inventory weight here. Okay. Now how we, I can't remember now how we, a while ago since I've done this, how did we set this? Did we set it? Okay. That's the check. We don't change it there. Set inventory weight. We change it in our set inventory weight here. Okay. So what we can do then is we can go to our weighted inventory here. And what we're going to do is we're going to call our event dispatcher. So we drag it in, we're going to call it, join it in here, because we want this to be handled whether it is true or false. Okay. So this is going to call it and update, deal with however we have decided to deal with it in our player. So let's find out any more verse where we put this, because we need to put it pretty well the same. We need to call it again, same place. Okay, so let's make a little space. We're going to call it again here. So basically, anywhere where we've got our set inventory weight, we're going to call this. So I'm going to drag this out here. There, using the same one, why not? Okay, and we're going to look for the next one, which I think is remove. Again, we're going to call this again. Get out encumbered variable from there. Because when we remove items, this will change this to being not over encumbered. Yeah, because of this check here. So if whatever event that we've put into our player has been activated because it's encumbered, this will fire it off and say we're not encumbered, so that event will then change to however we set the code. And I believe we might have one more. So let's just copy and paste these. Make sure you do it after the set inventory weight, because that's where we set the over incumbency variable, and that's in the set inventory weight, so that's fine. We could call it in here and say putting it in the other places. Probably would be a neater option, so let's do that instead. So when we do the inventory weight check, we're going to call it here, and we don't have to worry about anything else. So let's go back in take these out. Just a quick note for you, if you highlight it, hold down Shift and delete, it will remove it without losing your connection. Just remove what you don't want. And here we're going to do the same thing. That, Shift delete, get rid of them. Let's remove them all. It should do the same job. Okay. That goes to Shift delete. That goes to Shift delete. And that should be the one that's already in. Okay, good. So that basically gives us a call. How do we link ourselves to this call? So what we do is in our player character, in our begin play, we've set up all our weight displays and everything else. We can drag in our inventory component and we can say bind event. If we look down here, bind event to handle over encumbered. Like this. We've used a bind event dispatcher before. We're going to drag off of here and we'll say create event, and we're going to go down to here and say create matching event. We're going to say handle over encumbered. And that looks terrible because of my caps lock. Handle over encumbered. Better. And it gives us our whether we're over encumbered or not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to promote this to a variable. And then we've got access to that. Now, here is where we will write whatever code happens. So first of all, I'm going to show you basically what a lot of people do, which is slow our walk speed down to a crawl. So we're just going to do a quick branch here. I'm going to quickly remove this code after we've done it. I'm just going to show you how it works, and if that's what you want, then go ahead and do it that way. We're going to get our character movement. We're going to get our walk speed. So we want to set max walk speed. So we could say if we're over encumbered, let's see what our max walk speed already is at the moment. You need to remember that. Our max walk speed is 600. Okay, so let's say, just so you can see the effect, let's put our max walk speed to 50 if we're encumbered. Okay, and we can copy and paste them. And if they're not encumbered, we can put it back to 600. Okay, that should be all we need to do for that. So let's give it a try. Let's make ourselves over encumbered. We may have to put some more items down here, but I'm not sure. Let's pick up all these first aid kits. We have only got a low inventory weight. You see I'm running around quite nicely because I'm not over encumbered. Now we're over encumbered. You can see now, look how slow I'm walking now. It's working, how slow I'm walking. Okay. It means that that's worked. So let's just lose some of that weight. We'll take a couple of first aid kits. Now you see we're not over encumbered. Tab. And our walk speed's back to normal again. Okay, so that's how they often do that in many games. Very simple, very quick, very easy. However, I don't like it. Okay. What I would rather do is make it lose something that is beneficial to you as a player. One way I've done it in the past is we all like run or sprint. Now, if we actually look at the way this player does, he literally runs all the time. Okay, running all the time, there's no big difference. That's because our walk speed's quite high. What we could do is to slow him down a little bit. At the end of here, we can get a character movement. We could say walk. There's it again. Set max walk speed. And now, currently it's at 600. Let's put it down to 300. Half it. And he's still okay. He's relatively slow, but he's not too slow. Now he's normal. We can maybe put it up to say 400. Give him a little bit more. Okay, that's a reasonable speed for walking. Okay. It's not too slow, not too fast. Okay, well, it's a sort of a half walk, half jog. Let's see, look at his feet. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to implement sprint mechanic. I'm going to show you how to do the sprint mechanic. So we are going to go to our inputs. We have somewhere input folder. We're going to add a new input for action. I'm going to call it IA underscore sprint. Open that up, make sure that's fine, leave it as it is, close that. We now need to add it to our default. Close everything else up here. We're going to add a new mapping. Always put it at the very bottom. That's sprint. And the key we're going to use is our left shift. Click here, left shift. Okay. So we're going to go back to our character. We've already slowed our speed down a little bit, so it's going to make the sprint look a little bit better. And we're going to say IA underscore sprint. Make sure you choose the event. And do this off the triggered because we want this to be as we hold the button down. So we're going to need to either have triggered and completed. We're going to get over encumbered. We're going to get a branch from triggered. Okay. If it's over encumbered, we're going to get this again here. So if it's not over encumbered, we can do it first. We're going to set our walk speed. Now it used to be maximum of 600. Let's just double it, 800. If it is over encumbered, we're going to put it back to our 400 we got up here. So basically we're saying if we're over encumbered, we can't do anything. If we are not over encumbered, we can sprint. And then also, because this will override it, on the completed, we want to put it back to our base walk speed. Okay. So now if you see when we play, we can walk normally. If I hold down the shift key, you can see we're running, walking, running. And let's check the over incumbency. So now we've got quite a nice walk speed. It's not too sluggish. If we're going across the room, it's not too bad. Let's pick up a load of stuff. 6. 7, we can still run. 8.4, we can still run. 9.2, look, we can still run. 9.5, we still run. 9.8, 10.1. Can we run? No, we can't. You see, there's no difference if I press the key or not. Okay, let's make sure it's working in reverse. We're going to take a first aid kit, going to use one of them, drops it down below, and now we can run look. Now, to me personally, I find that a little bit nicer way of dealing with being over incumbent. It takes away an extra mechanic rather than just literally puts you into a dangerous position. Yes, if you are so used to running around in the game and you are being attacked by zombies or whatever the game is, and you no longer can sprint, it's going to put you in danger if you're over incumbent, but it's not going to be so bad. At least you've got a bit of speed to walk. And if you're in the scenario where you're doing a lot of crafting in your base and you're loaded up with resources to craft things while you're walking around and doing other stuff, or you've been out and chopped a load of wood and you want to bring it inside and put it into a wood carrier or whatever the scenario may be, you're not creepingly walking so slowly that it's painful. You're just walking at a normal walk space. So it takes away that privilege. Okay, that's a way of dealing with over incumbency. You can combine more than one thing as well. There's no reason why you can't. So what we're going to do here is in our over incumbent function, which is handle over incumbent, we're going to add a little bit more code here. We're going to say put a branch here, and let's say if you're over incumbent, you're carrying heavy weight, you're going to get a bit more thirsty. So let's affect our thirst. Now remember, we put in these reduction factors. So we're going to drag out our reduction factor, get it, and we're going to remember its original reduction point. So what we're going to do first of all is on the pulse, we're going to set that so that we remember it to what we set it at before, 0.1. That means if we're not over encumbered, normal, and then we're going to, oh, sorry, 0.1. Don't need that. Control C, Control V. If we are over encumbered, let's make this ridiculous to say 0.3. So 3 times, you get 3 times, your thirst will go down 3 times. So now we've got a combination of, going to affect our thirst, or our thirst reduction rate. In other words, we're going to get thirstier quicker. And it's also going to affect whether we can sprint or not. Okay. So let's give it a test. See, our thirst is going down about the same time as our hunger there. So let's quickly, because we haven't got a lot of time, because it quickly reduces it anyway. But what I will do, just to show you the point, before we get over incumbent, I will top up my drink. So let's go ahead and top up our drink first, just to be on the safe side. We're going to drink, so you can see now we're full and it's still going down the normal amount. Let's get ourselves over encumbered. 9, 9.3, 9.6, 10.2. Now you see how quick it's moving down there now, look. 3 times the speed. So we're going to get, and we cannot sprint, okay? So let's take a first aid kit to reduce that, and you see it's gone back to our normal speed, and we can sprint. So it's just another way of dealing with over-incumbency. You can make that as complex or as simple as you like, but by using the event dispatcher, we're not directly linking our inventory component with any particular actor, we're just using an event dispatcher. We're passing through, are we over encumbered or not? And then we can deal with this however we like. So maybe, like I say, you have skill points or whatever, it can change it. We can do checks on whether we have certain skills. We can do many different things of how we deal with our over incumbency. I'm going to call it there for today. That's just a little look on dealing with being over incumbent within your game. If you want any more ideas on how to deal with it, or you're having any problems, please don't hesitate to comment. Let me know and I'll see if I can help you. Go ahead, join my Discord. The links are in the description. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, take a look at my Patreon, join my Discord, and buy me a coffee. All the links are in the description below. See you next time. Bye.